This is going to shock some of you, and I'm sorry. I'm done letting Samsung SmartThings manage my smart home. They've screwed up too much. I've had so many problems, and I can't ignore it anymore. I'm throwing out the whole setup, and I'm starting my smart home over again. Let me explain why I'm walking away, what it means to the channel, and what I'm going to use going forward in my smart home. Hello Automators, thanks for tuning in again. I'm Brian from Automate Your Life, and I recently shared how frustrated I was with the smart home industry. I really appreciate how much you shared with me, and a few of you suggested that I should redo my smart home. That's exactly what I'm gonna do. And now I'll explain why in 4 parts why I think Samsung's no longer the right platform for me. Now, this shouldn't stop you from using them because there's a lot of good things happening. But here's what's happened to me in just the last year. My automations have been turning off. Not all of them, but enough of them to notice. Of course, I don't get any notice that it's happened, and when I go to investigate in the app, the automation is just disabled. My devices are disappearing from the app. Zigbee and Z-Wave stuff included. That's especially bad with Z-Wave since I have to go through a very painful exclusion process if I ever want to use those Z-Wave devices again. I don't even know what this means for Z-Wave security, but it's messed up, and I've never seen it happen on another platform, period. Matter connectivity has been the worst. I've spoken about this problem in general, but it's been worse with SmartThings. And if you want to know how I spent 2023, it was waiting at the very last screen of setup for Matter products in the SmartThings app. Samsung has to register the product into my account, and they can't seem to do that right. It hangs there, sometimes indefinitely. And the really terrible thing is, the Matter over Wi-Fi devices are already connected to my Wi-Fi network, and they still fail on that step. I hit the 200 device limit in the SmartThings app long ago. Obviously, I'm not a typical user, but the silly thing about this is it isn't a limit based on Wi-Fi, Zigbee, or even Z-Wave. It's just the app. Good thing I've been losing products. There's been a primary hub in my home for a long time, and Samsung has told me that I've reached the memory limit with that. That's okay. I understand that hubs have to have a limit, but what I really don't like is that if I make an automation that uses devices from 2 separate hubs, it becomes a cloud-based automation and therefore requires the internet and creates all kinds of delays. All of this combines with some other basic issues to keep automations too unreliable on this platform. This should have been solved with the Edge driver program, but even with local automations, I'm still having too many failures and delays. I have a Samsung smart monitor, and for those of you who have a TV or another Samsung appliance, you'll understand this problem. My smart monitor just disconnects for no good reason. It's not a Brian Wi-Fi problem because I have Wi-Fi devices that have stayed online for all of 2023. This is a Samsung problem, and that monitor can't stay online. And it was supposed to be another hub for me, which is a dream I gave up on a while ago. Now, those are the issues that have hit my home, and some of them are bad, and some of them are terrible. But I said that there are 4 parts to the reasoning behind me leaving SmartThings in the dust. The second part is what I would call broken promises. Now, broken promises are like those firsts in our lives. You know the first I'm talking about when I say you never forget it. So Samsung should stop breaking these kinds of promises with us. A good example of this is if you use SmartThings and then you connect it to Amazon or Google voice assistants. If you've done that, you will likely have experienced duplicate devices, as in you'll see 2 of the same device because you've integrated it with Samsung and then separately with Amazon or Google. This is something that just about everyone who does home automation runs into if they use SmartThings. And the stupid thing is, this solution was both talked about and very simple. Samsung just has to give us the ability to choose which devices are synchronized to Amazon and Google, and they just never did it. Another example, if you've ever worked with the features in SmartThings Labs, and if you've been paying attention, then you know some of those were supposed to turn into forever features, and some of them were supposed to disappear. I've only ever seen them disappear. One of the biggest opportunities for Samsung is that they are one of the only hubs that allows smart home cameras into the app, and then allows them to be used as part of the smart home security system. Now, they were supposed to be creating edge drivers for some cameras, and that was supposed to unlock all kinds of great features. I believe this was announced a year and a half ago, and there has been zero movement on what should have been a very short project. If you remember from our Edge driver announcement video last year, the smart lighting app was supposed to disappear. It was supposed to happen last year. As you can see, it's still at the bottom of my list of routines. Samsung, I think, talked about a date of September 2022, and it's still sitting here, and I've had no communication. There were some other broken promises from things that Samsung gave me. Like, they told me a number of routine options that were coming to the platform. Many of those never arrived, and there's been no further communication. The Matter Bridge feature, which Samsung was rightfully so very excited to announce, has come and gone from the app. I put out a video that showcased how Aqara and SmartThings could be integrated based largely on that feature working, and many of you have come back and told me, hey, no longer working. The truth is, it comes in and out, and it's part of the overall issues with Matter that Samsung has. One of the other promises that Samsung made last year when they changed over to this Edge driver program was that we would see very few products affected by the changeover. That has certainly not been the case with all the problems I've experienced this year. So all of those broken promises are leading a lot of us to frustration. But part 3 of my reasoning comes from my experience in working with Samsung. I've been covering this platform for around 5 years, and it's been getting tougher. Whenever they come to me with an announcement, which happens once or twice a year, the people I talk to are very professional. They are very clear. They give me dates and they tell me exactly what's going to happen. They are also really good at telling me when they don't know something. Everyone I've worked with from the SmartThings team has been professional and knowledgeable. But the problem is, I walk away, I create content for you, and then the dates are missed and features are missing. And what I am essentially doing is lying to you. This happened last year with the Edge driver program announcement, and it's happened multiple times with our CES coverage. It's all in that broken promises list, and you can find it throughout our coverage of SmartThings as a platform. The other problem I have is when I ask questions of their PR team, I'd say it's about 50-50 that I will ever get an answer back. And when I do, it's usually months before I hear anything, and the answer is a half-assed response. At some level, I think it's Samsung's interest in the platform that's the problem. When I ask Samsung PR about a TV, an appliance, or a phone, the answers come back like that. I get clear, detailed responses, and I understand what their offering is. So when I evaluate my ability to give you good, solid information about the SmartThings platform, I can't do it. The information I get directly is bad, and I can't pull information that I need in order to produce really good content for you. It's about integrity, and it's about using my time on the platforms that want to help you the most. And there's an even bigger problem that I liken exactly to this. It's the way the developer community is being managed. The whole point of a developer community is that they can push your platform further. This is exactly what Home Assistant deploys as their entire strategy around the smart home. And I'm not saying that that's perfect, but Samsung had a great developer community for many years. I've had multiple conversations with developers who have described Samsung doing something akin to what I described with the PR department. Lack of clarity and even information that hurts them is sometimes passed over, not given. Simple messages that would keep developers who are working for free to improve the platform are not being given, at least not in these instances. These people take those edge drivers and make them better, or give us extra features. These are the ones that Samsung can never get to, and SmartThings used to be a place where people could go and find almost any feature they needed, and then they could connect almost any device through this. A good example of this is the Philips Hue and SmartThings integration that Blue Yeti created. This gave us features like the ability to blink your Philips Hue lights. It allowed you to control by room and eliminated popcorn lighting effects. It was fast and it gave you access to Philips Hue scenes, sensors, and buttons. Now, you can't do any of that with the basic Philips Hue and SmartThings integration today. Sadly, I think that integration is dead, and it's because of the management of the developer community by Samsung. I've had a number of conversations with that developer, and based on the situation that was explained to me, it seems like simple information could have saved that entire relationship. Crushing the developer community and crushing creators like me is not the way to develop your platform's reach with people like us who want to automate our lives. It shows an inability to connect with the people who are working with your platform on a daily basis. Enough about that. Let's move on to part 4. It's very clear at this juncture that Samsung is looking more and more to lock you into all of their products. They've made some good moves with things like the Home Connectivity Alliance, and they've made a good attempt with Matter. But after that, features are now being locked in with Samsung devices being the only ones that get them. Samsung has always had modes in SmartThings, but today if you want to add or change a mode on your phone, you have to have a Samsung Galaxy phone. The Galaxy Tags and the Galaxy Find service are only available if you have a Samsung phone too. And even my SmartThings station had a few things like the Galaxy Find service that would not work unless I had a Galaxy phone. Now, I'm not saying that other companies don't do this stuff, but the fact is, if you don't like Samsung products in other parts of their business, you're not going to want to keep heading down this path. It's a full lock-in strategy as far as I can tell, and I could continue to name things like SmartThings Energy or cooking or the other life aspects in the app, but I think you get the point. It's all Samsung, or SmartThings will be a lesser experience for you. And even worse, for those of us outside of South Korea, is that that's the country that gets all the features first. Sometimes they get rolled out to the US shortly thereafter, but the rest of the world can wait what is an indefinite time. Their process to roll out these new features is very sluggish, and I just don't think they can get many of them outside of South Korea and the US. Now, before I move on to what I'm going to use in my smart home going forward, I want to talk about what this means for the channel, and I'm going to open up an option for you to hopefully impact Samsung directly. Obviously, I won't be able to focus on SmartThings as much because I won't be using them in my everyday life. I will take those hubs out of the trash though when I'm done being angry. So the channel will have less dedicated SmartThings content, but we're making a bunch of automation ideas videos, and those will always contain automation ideas with SmartThings as we find good ones. We will also continue to talk about connectivity to SmartThings in product reviews. So it's not going to change that much in terms of our coverage. What we will be losing is some of the news. And I do think we will lose a couple of the larger tutorials. It's not that we can't do basics like how to build automations with SmartThings, but I can't show you things like that Edge driver that Blue Yeti made, because I don't believe it's going to be there in a year. The other thing I want to talk about is your reaction to this. I want to continue to have discussions with you, and I want you to understand that I'm listening every week when you guys tell me on a poll or through the comments that something is happening or something's better or you're having a problem. A lot of my direction here today is based on your feedback, and it will continue to be so. I will say that I kind of expect someone at Samsung to reach out at some point, probably based on this video, because they've actually been really good with that. This is part of what I mean when I say the people within the SmartThings team are professional and some of the most knowledgeable people in the smart home industry. But they have day jobs and I don't get to deal with them all the time. But when they do reach out, if I have a lot of comments from you about the struggles and about why you've left or are considering leaving SmartThings, I will be able to have quite the conversation with them about what they can and can't do. And we might actually get something done. So leave comments below about your experience and what you want Samsung to hear, because I will at least guarantee that someone from their team will watch this video. Okay, that's enough talking about SmartThings specifically. What is my plan going forward in my own smart home? I'm gonna evaluate 5 platforms side by side in my home, with a lot of the functions and features being mirrored. Eventually, I'm going to come out with an in-depth comparison guide of, well, actually more platforms than that, but it'll be these 5 in my home going forward. Home Assistant, which is every DIY person's favorite platform. I have a lot of concerns about the direction of this platform, and I have a lot of concerns personally about my time investment in it. However, it would be a disservice not to include it. Habitat. Now this platform is well respected and it's a very stable one. For the most part, I feel like I will be trading some problems from SmartThings for different problems with Habitat, but I do like the stability of it. Samsung SmartThings, and it might surprise you that I'm going to continue to evaluate that platform based on what I've said. But Samsung has a lot of good things that they've promised, and I'm going to keep tabs on that. I'm also going to keep tabs on whether or not the platform can eventually run reliably in a medium to large smart home. I'm also going to evaluate Aqara. I think this little hub right here has a lot of opportunity because of the great devices that Aqara builds, and actually they have a really robust home automation or automation system. And the platform that has the inside track for me, and what I will be converting the main parts of my home to, is Homey Pro. To date, which is now well over 4 months, I have not experienced an automation failure. I have not experienced a disconnection of any of the devices I put on the hub. I have not had an outage of the whole platform. Simply put, I have been impressed with everything that Homey Pro does. It does these things simply, and the app is easy to use. Plus, I've seen new feature rollouts and new important companies jumping on board with Homey connectivity. Plus, I see a bit of growth in the developer community. So I'm really interested in a lot that is going on with this platform. I love the ability to create automations that handle an entire process through their flow system. I think that's one of the big problems we have in home automation systems today, is we can't group our automations together in a really smart way, at least not in a lot of systems. So I'm going to start now, and I do think there will be trade-offs. This hub is ridiculously expensive, and there will be features and device types that I will miss with Homey. But what I want to offer to you is a series of videos where I'm redoing my smart home with this. We can go through the conversions, the different aspects of my home, and how the automations and the experiences go if you'd like. Let me know if this is a series of videos you would like to see. Otherwise, you can see my thoughts on the platforms that I will be evaluating. Right there is our review of both Homey Pro and Home Assistant Green, both of which are the newest hubs from those companies. Down there is our review of the SmartThings station, and we also have our review of the Habitat C8 and the Aqara on screen now. Otherwise, thanks for watching today, and of course, live smart.